hello there, geeks and gamers. My name is Jesse Milestone, and I would like to speak to you all about the 4% challenge. Have you guys heard about this? Have we heard? If not, this is a thing that just hit the media a day or so ago, just kind of blipped up there and was like, 4% challenge. And somebody issued this at the Sundance Film Festival. They were like, all right, well, look at the statistics. Over the past 10 years, of the 100 best films, I'm not sure what criteria they use for best films or most successful films or whatever, over the past 10 years, only 4% were directed by women. Unacceptable! Unacceptable! All right, now first, before we can dive into why the statistic is flawed and stupid for so many reasons. So let's just do that really quick before we get into the meat of things. All right, the top 100 films. So you're not even taking from all the films. You're talking about the 100 films that did the best. Okay, because what are your demographics now of the number of female directors in Hollywood directing major Hollywood films and not? Right? Because if you look at those, maybe those numbers are a little more equal. Maybe women just didn't work on good films in the past 10 years, or that more men worked on good films than women did, or maybe there just are more men. Maybe it is closer, like a 90-10 split in terms of the number of men working as directors and the numbers of not. Well, that's not okay, because there are definitely more women who want to be working as directors and are being pushed out. Hence the 4% challenge, right? What is the 4% challenge? Kind of weirdly named. Kind of seems like we're just trying to maintain that 4% status quo. No! In order to ensure that women are given the opportunities they deserve, even if they haven't worked for them, a whole bunch of producers and big shots are coming out and saying, I accept your challenge. Within the next 18 months, I will make a movie with a woman director. Great. Good for you. If that's what you want to do, I'm happy for you. But don't act like you're somehow doing the world a favor by doing this. If you think that there should be more women directing movies and that's an important thing to you, and so you're going to go out and make sure a woman directs a movie, fine. I don't have a problem with that. Go for it. But again, don't act like you're doing the world some sort of goddamn favor. You're going to go seek out, where's 18 months? By the way, that's a year and a half, okay? That's a year and a half, and you're saying one time in that year and a half span, you're going to work with a female director. All right, so all these people go out and do this. Now, first of all, what happens if you can't find a female director that's qualified to do the project you want to do? Are you just going to pick someone who's less qualified? You're going to sacrifice the quality of your film because you have to make sure it's done by a woman. Because guess what? I mean, there are only so many A-list Hollywood directors, period. There are only so many A-list female Hollywood directors. And if all you are going to try to snatch them up in the next 18 months, they're all going to be booked up solid. You're going to have to go to the next tier and the next tier and the next tier. So have fun making a bunch of shitty movies with unqualified people because you think it's way more important to put a woman in front of your movie than to make a decent movie. Guess what? Make a decent movie with strong female characters in it. Who cares if it's directed by a woman? You'll be doing a lot more for women by doing that than you will be by making sure that somebody who directs it is a woman. Because guess what? If you just pick anybody, you're not going to increase the statistic of the top 100 best movies. If you have to pick any random woman to make your movie who may or may not be qualified, it is still not going to make that cut of best 100 movies. Because that's the thing you're not understanding. When you look at that statistic, the best 100 movies in the past decade. All right, so the issue here is not necessarily quantity. It is not necessarily the quantity of women directing your films, but the ones who are directing these better films, these films at the top level. Maybe there's a deeper issue here. Maybe there's a problem where women aren't being allowed to be educated or have the same learning experiences that men are at the directorial level. If that's the case, address that. Don't just grab a woman and be like, here, direct a movie. I'm sure you'll be great at it, sweetie. Because guess what? If she's subpar, one of two things happens. Either your movie fails or you end up having a backseat director, which is, yes, so empowering, so great. And we're like, we gave you this nod because you're a woman, but you're really not qualified. So someone else is actually going to do the job for you. You're just going to stand there and look pretty because that's super progressive. Ha This is it just blows my mind how people don't understand what progressivism actually is. They really don't. They don't have a clue. They don't have a concept. If we're talking progress, what you're talking about is moving things closer to status quo. All right? You want to move things closer to status quo. And doing that does not mean I put you here, right? Doing that means looking at and addressing why there is an issue. First of all, identifying, is there an issue? Is it true now that women are having a harder time becoming directors than men? Great. If it is, find the evidence. Find evidence, gather evidence, figure out why, and address why. Because if you just go around being like, you're going to direct my movie, 18 months is over, let's forget about women again, you actually haven't done anything to address the problem if there is one. If there is a problem and you truly believe there's a problem, just get off your lazy ass and figure out why, and then figure out how to fix it. Because this little token gesture of progressivism doesn't do anything. That's all modern progressivism progressivism is now. It's just these token gestures of, look at me, I'm not a racist, I'm not a sexist, look at me. It has nothing to do with actual equality or making sure everyone has a fair shake. All it has to do is making you feel and look good by doing the best virtue signaling you can. So that's all this 4% challenge is. It's just a virtue signaling movement. And now on top of this, is even more hilarious to me is an actress came out and she was like, I want to do this challenge too, but I don't make movies, so I can't get a woman director, so I will commit to doubling the number of women and people of color who, journalists who cover my work over the next year. We're talking about the issue of women in power roles in Hollywood. Hollywood journalism, not one of those roles. Not even what we're talking about. Is there even a problem with underrepresentation in the journalistic field in Hollywood or anywhere? I mean, the real problem is that the field of journalism is just dying out. So what, now you're going to, for the sake of making a quota, once again, going deeper into the ranks of people. Maybe there just are not as many female journalists to choose from. So now you're going to pick less qualified ones to cover your stuff? Is that really the best idea? And is that really going to give women the best image? Because that's the whole thing, is when you, in order to meet a quota, when you have to find less qualified people just to make the numbers, that doesn't make us look good. That just furthers people who are saying, see, women are as good as it is men, because you're picking less qualified women to do the job, so they are doing it not as well as a more qualified man would do, and just furthering this perception that women are not as good at this thing as men are. So what are you really accomplishing other than, once again, virtue signaling? That's completely idiotic. I've never heard anyone be like, there's a problem with underrepresentation of people of color in journalism. Maybe there is, but once again, if that's the case, address it at the core level. If there is an issue, address the problem and create more. Picking out a crappy person of color journalist number 3 who has never gotten a chance, not because they're the person of color, because they're not good at their job, and then suddenly giving them an opportunity is not helping that community. Once again, it's actually hurting them, because you're like, look at this person that I found to do this, and everyone's like, wow, that journalist really sucks. And then maybe some people actually care to notice and be like, wow, there's a whole bunch of these colored journalists right now who are doing a really shitty job. Maybe people of color are worse journalists, because that's how the human mind works sometimes. So I'm sorry, once again, by trying to be so powerful and important and progressive, you're actually hurting the very people you are trying to help. So stop. Because the reality is that we don't have rules or laws in place to stop women or people of color from succeeding in Hollywood. But it does take time and it is hard. So instead of whining and being all like, I didn't succeed as a director because I'm a woman, maybe you didn't succeed because it's hard to do and it takes a long time. So if this is an issue, right, that, because historically, categorically, women have not been allowed to rise in those places and men have kept them out. Well, guess what? It's not happening the way it was anymore, but it is still going to take time for women to get there. These things don't change overnight. It's not just like you wake up and you're like, oh my God, all of you people are going to be directors now. Not how it works, right? These people have to learn, they have to break their way, and they have to earn their way and get it. Personally, I don't want something to be easier for me just because I'm a woman. That detracts from the actual joy of getting the thing. In some cases, I'm okay for it to be harder if it is harder, because then it means so much more when I do get it. So what do you guys think on this whole 4% challenge nonsense and on this idea of we need more diversity in Hollywood? Do you think that there's been underrepresentation on the filmmaking side in Hollywood? Do you think that these people need to be represented more? And if so, how does that change? Are we doing it the right way? No, we're not. Come on, we all know that we're not. But what do you think? Is there right now, is there a problem with not enough women, not enough people of color getting director jobs, writer jobs, producer jobs? And if there is, how is the way to change that without this nonsense force, like, let me put this in this role? Very curious to know your thoughts. And guys, if you want to hear me yell more than once a week, you're more than welcome to check out my channel, Mindless Entertainment. I will talk to you again very soon.